Okay, so today I thought I'd do a little update with you about my paper bead making of late, because it has been my favorite go-to activity late at night when I don't have to think about anything important. And so I thought I would show you what I've been up to and then show you the finished product. Okay, here is my latest bowl of beads that I have been working on. And I love the colors because they are all shades of orange sherbet, lime sherbet, all of that. It just looks so pretty, and I think they would make a wonderful summertime necklace. Now, I've done all the rolling and the gluing. This one I need to touch up, but these are done out of papers from ice cream confections. See these? And this is done out of a stiffer, not quite a cardboard, but something stiffer. And these are the ones that were made from the inside of safety envelopes. In fact, I have an envelope here to show you. Okay, see, here's an envelope right here. And see inside? That will make a really nice bead. And here are some of the beads made from the insides of the safety envelopes. Let me try to find some others. So next time, before you throw your trash away, check and see what the inside of the envelopes looks like. I think you'll like that. I'm going to show you now how I would turn an envelope like this into a bead. So the first thing I'm going to do, I take a piece of scrap paper like this. And then I get my paper snips. And here's an envelope that has pretty blue pattern on it. I'm going to do this black one because it shows up so good on camera. And I'm going to take and trim it down each side. And normally I try to tear them open more carefully so I don't waste any of this beautiful pattern. So trim down each side. Now I can open it up. This window right here is not going to do a lot of good, so I go ahead and trim that out. And I might save a bit of this scrap if I need it, but then the window panel can be tossed. Even up a little bit of this. Alright, I can get 2 panels out of just this part of the envelope. Because you have to remember, you want to, and see, I'll cut straight across with this line. But you have to remember, you need to make enough beads to be able to use them in a necklace. So, now I've got this. So I take this piece of paper right here, and then I take my glue, and it's just regular school glue, and I buy it by the gallon, and then refill the bottles. It's much cheaper by the gallon. So you just go in here and run a bead of glue down this paper. Then you take this and you place it along this edge like this. Okay? And then I'm going to trim off a piece of this and glue it. Put a little bit of glue on this and glue on this, and put this here. Alright, now I will let this dry. When it comes time, I need to glue this down back here too. Okay. when it comes time to cut this bead, I will probably make these bugle beads. And when this is all dry, it's easier to cut, but I'll just come along with either a paper cutter or paper scissors and just trim right across here and up and over. There we go. So I will trim all that into strips. Okay, I'll move this out of the way and go get one of those that's already dry and show you how to roll that up. So here is one of the strips that I did last week. And what I do is this goes at the bottom. This is the last thing to be rolled. I got this great bead roller from a great lady who even included some free paper strips so you could take it out of the package and use it right away. And this is her invention. I find it's really good for I just use junk mail to roll my paper strips on. And sometimes when I use a rougher bead roller, it ends up sticking a little bit because the paper is a little thin. So I roll it from this end, I stick it in the slot here, and then start rolling up. And I roll, trying to keep it relatively even. I roll up until there's just a few inches left. Then I take and just put a light little bit of glue on there and then roll it the last little way up, making sure that I take the glue, and rub it out onto the paper. So, and then you just take and push this plunger and it pops the bead off. And there you go. So, that was a bugle bead. Now let me show you how I do a barrel bead. And this is it was a computer advertisement, and it came like a magazine. So I took the staples out and cut it so that the pages, like this would have been one page and this would have been another. I cut it out in a big long piece so that I could have a thicker barrel bead. And these are the barrel beads. And they're all out of junk mail. None of this was purchased. I start at the wide end, and what I do is I take my scissors and I just do a little notch, dog ear it just a little bit on each side of the top. And that's so that the odd edges don't stick out very far. Then I roll it so that the color is on one side. And I just start rolling, start rolling and rolling. And see, the paper holds into the slot and makes it easy for you to start rolling. And I will roll and roll. Now, if the paper's too slippery and moves around too much, I'll add glue. But if not, I wait till the last. This is probably 6 inches worth. And I put a little too much glue. I need to close the glue bottle halfway and just get a nice little, and see, I always stop. I stop before the last inch so I can spread the glue and let it get slightly tacky. Then when I finish up, it stays put. And then I just push it off on there. I'm going to show you again because I'm worried I didn't show you good enough. Now let me see. I think I moved it. But I take my strip and I cut just the corners off so that it is shaped like that, dog-eared shape. Then I put it in the slot and I start rolling. And if you have a little piece that sticks out like that, just pull it off. But I roll and roll. And this tool that I'm using only cost, I think, $9. think that included the shipping. I was real pleased. It might have been $3 for shipping, but I was pleased, and I really like it. It has been a good roller, and you can get them different sizes, because if you get them different, the different sizes mean how big of a hole do they leave inside the bead. And so that's important depending on how you're going to string the bead. How are you going to use the bead? So I just kind of run my fingers. I run my fingers around to spread out the glue. Okay, now, so I have rolled these. Now some of them are going to need touch-ups. As you see here, the paper isn't quite fully closed. So I will come back and take a little touch of glue, like even this bead. This little part right here is sticking up, and I can either try to glue it again or nip it off. Now, what do I do next with these beads once I have them rolled? Okay, well, there are a couple different things. One thing is I want to make sure that the edges are even. See how this white part sticks out? And see how this part, it's kind of thin-walled? I find it's easier to use one of these springed hinged snips because, and you might have different kinds. Let me find another pair. Here's a pair of snips, although I probably wouldn't, I don't know, these might be, the problem is I don't want to get my fingers stuck in there. But if you are good at using those snips, I love these Fisker snips. And see what I do? I lay the scissors on the edge and just go around and trim. And just laying it on there, it will let you know if there's a part of the edge that needs trimming, because this is to make it look very even. You see that? And so you just kind of lay it across the middle of the bead and go around. And when you don't get much else off of it and it looks pretty good, then you're done. Then over here, you can do the same thing. Just go around here. You have to take a little bit deeper of a bite because you want to get that little skinny middle part gone and even with the edge. Okay? So you can do it this way. Now I find that sometimes my hands get pretty sore after doing this, and normally I wouldn't do them over the bowl of beads. A lot of times I do them right in my lap, and so then I just take my shirt out and shake it into the trash or outside, and all the little bits will drift off, or just throw all the little bits away. But I want to cut it short enough to where I've got a nice hard bead edge, because if the paper is too thin, but now see how nice and tidy that is now? Let me do that one more time just to kind of show you. That one's mostly done. Let me see. Trying to look for one that's a little more uneven. Here's just a little bit of a sloppy bead. So you see how it wasn't rolled quite nicely. So I just take the snips, lay them on the middle of the bead. When I say the middle, right out in the middle of the hole of the bead off one end. And I just turn the bead while I'm snipping. And it's amazing how close and even you can get that bead. Okay, so now I'm going to do this end. And sometimes if the bead is a little weak and you know you have to go down deeper, you might have to push a little harder to get that done. Let me see if there's another one I can show you. Here, no, here's one. You see a little bit of the white showing through on each end. Okay, so I just take the snips and I purposely cut that white off. And then just go around and around. Now sometimes the parts will just get messy and bend over, so sometimes you have to kind of lean the snips down a little bit so you can get that edge off where it just wants to bend over. But here, I push a little bit harder, get all the white part off. And now that the white part's off, then it's just trimming and evening up. Now you have to be careful because if you keep pushing too much or you tilt them, you'll get an uneven bead. But there you go. And be careful. I like using these snips because when I used to use regular scissors, I would get sore parts on my hands. Now this, I'm just snip that off, but I've got to go back in and open that up. And then just go around and even it up. But now even, it takes a little while. It can be a little messy. And your hand is still going to get a little sore. Like, see, this edge was pretty uneven and loose. So I just go around and keep evening it until it looks pretty straight and it's a little more dense. Now here's one I had started, but you see how that rough edge just kind of fanned out? So in this case, I'll come closer to the edge and nip that all back off again. And then go back more to the top. And there we go. So this is one way you can do it. And if you have a pair of snips or scissors, it doesn't cost you anything to do this method. Now I have another method that's a little bit faster and easier on your hands. Well, that's if you don't consider the vibration part of it. So let me get ready to show you. Almost done. Let me get ready to show you the next part. For this method, I take, I don't know if this what this is called. It's a mouse. Let me see. See that? It's a mouse by, pretty sure it's Black & Decker. And I don't know if you really call it an orbital sander, but it kind of vibrates back and forth. And I kind of need to get a new piece of sandpaper. It's getting a little worn. But let me show you what this does. You hold it and turn it on. as you can see, that's my preferred way of preparing the beads. And you do this comes after you've rolled them and they've dried for good, maybe a day. And then you can sand them or use snips to trim them down. And then I'll show you the next step. The next step in my bead making is to take permanent markers. These I bought from the dollar store. They don't last that long, but they were only $1. And just kind of color in the end. Just color over the white paper and kind of run the tip inside. And that just helps hide the fact that these were made with paper. Any white ends or smudges you need to cover up, do that. Okay, so you just go here. They don't take long to dry, but it just makes a prettier bead. Gives it a more finished look. Okay. And I use the closest color marker to the bead I'm making. In this case, orange. I thought I'd do something a little more interesting, so I'm running a diagonal line, a wavy line on this bead, so it'll give it stripes. Alright, now for the final step, I'm going to use what's right now my very favorite, made by Americana Deco Art, triple thick gloss glaze. And I really like this. This is my absolute favorite. So keep that in mind. I find that it dries hard and clear, and I like that better than Mod Podge. So what I'm going to do now is dip my brush into some of this diamond glaze and then take and put it and dab it in both ends, because you want this bead to be waterproof and firm. Alright, so then I've put it on the skewer and I brush the diamond glaze on top. Now, when I feel like I've got a pretty good coating of this, then I take, this is something I just made out of little scraps of styrofoam or foam. It's not really styrofoam. And then I stuck a bunch of toothpicks in it. And then I take my bead and I place it on a toothpick. Pick up another bead, put some of the diamond glaze down in each end to waterproof it and keep it firm. Or water resist. It's not going to be waterproof, but it will help resist it. Now, I put on between 2 and 3 coats of this, allowing it probably a good day in between each coat. Then take this off here and put it on a toothpick to dry. This is keeping in the theme of recycling. This packaging just came out of something I ordered online, I'm sure. And the skewers, I've had them in my cooking drawer for a long time. So I just take good care of my diamond glaze and take good care of my brushes, and I'm ready to go. Alright, I'll try one of these now. I notice this edge popped up just a touch more. You can use some of the diamond, the edge popped up a little. You could use some of the diamond glaze just to tack it down. Oops, and before you put it on the skewer, dab some of that in each end. Put it on the skewer, which helps it be dispersed through the length of the bead. Now this bead is rolling because it's rolled a little bigger, so I'll just put my hand up and support it and brush the glaze over it. Making sure I've covered everything. With the bugle beads, you want to get both ends equally covered. Then take this off and put it on the toothpick. When you get ready to put the lid back on the diamond glaze, I like to take a scrap napkin and clean the edge off so that when you put the lid on, it won't stick so tightly. Then wipe the rim of the lid, then put the lid on carefully. Doing a good coat of this diamond glaze is what really helps the beads look professional. Good even coat. And it also then helps them stand up to weather, perspiration, heat, cold, all of the above. Here you can see the beads. And it'll probably take a good 2 to 3 coats to really get that porcelain or glass look that I'm going for. So now I finished making the necklace from the paper beads, and I thought I would show you how it turned out. You can see that the glaze does a really pretty job in making the beads look a whole lot more substantial than just junk mail. And this will go to one of my daughters. It's the high school where she teaches. It's their school colors. So this will go to my Becky. And I just thought I would show you some of the other beads. Here is a bead that is finished. I colored the ends and then put several layers of the diamond glaze on it. Here was the bead before. Here is the bead after. So I think it gives you a good idea of finishing it correctly really adds a lot to the bead. Here's another one, finished and glazed, and here is the before. A lot more substantial. Here is the green bead before and after with the glaze. And they're very, can you hear that? They're very firm and nice. Here's a before and after. And remember, this is just the inside of a safety envelope. Here's the before and here is the after. I think they turn out to be quite a lovely bead. I love how the glaze darkens the color. And here are some of the neutral colored paper beads. And just remember, when you put the glaze on the inside, try to let it dry a little bit before you put it on the toothpick and do the outside, because I had trouble getting some of those off. So I'll do it in a slightly different stage this time. And I bought this, I think, on Amazon, and it's a big long spool of stretch cord for your necklaces. And I like this because I don't like undoing clasps. I'd much rather just pull it over my head. This is better than some of the clear stretchy cord that breaks down over time. I think this will last longer. Alright, so that will do it for this episode of beads, and I'm sure I'll do many more as my adventure with beads continues and I get better at it and find more fun ways to use junk mail. So thank you very much and take care. See you next time.